Hello and welcome back to Emma's Crafty Space. Thank you for joining me today. So in this tutorial I am going to be featuring this beautiful stamp set called Celebrate Sunflowers. So you can see that it is a mixture of images and sentiments, and then obviously there is your coordinating die set as well. It is actually part of what I probably class as a super suite, in that you have two bundles. So you've got a stamp set with a punch and then a stamp set with a die set. Then you have DSPs, you have little embellishments and like trinkets and things, and you've got ribbon. So this is the other one. So obviously these are obviously the size of your punches, and then you can fill them with whatever kind of flowers. So the suite itself is called Flower for Any Season. So it basically means that you can pick out what season that you want and use this stamp set for it. So it is a very, very versatile stamp set. You can just see here the papers are absolutely beautiful, and it is featuring all our new in colours. So as I say, this is the one that we're going with. There's also a embossing folder, sorry, within the suite as well. So the one we're going with today is Celebrate Sunflowers. And I will show you what we're going to be making. So we're making this wee card, and then this card goes inside this little plant pot. So it just slides down the back there, and then it also has a stand. So I think a lot of wee cards, they're very cute, but whenever the way they're designed and made, then they just have to sit flat. Whereas with this, I have made a little stand for it, so it means it can actually stand up on its own, and then you've got your card and you can add your sentiment in there. So we'll make a wee start with it. First thing I'm going to do is give you your measurements for your card. So your plant pot measurements are 8 7/8 by 4 1/8. I'll give you your score lines of that in a minute. And then this is your little card measurement. So your crumb cake is 4 inches by 2 3/8, and then your whisper white just nests inside that, and it's 3 7/8 by 2 1/4. So we'll do the plant pot first. You're going to need your scoreboard for this. Just going to set that down. So your score along your long side is going to be 3 3/8. And then your last one is 6 7/8. Okay. Just two scores, very easy, very quick. So this is going to be your the kind of like the rim of your plant pot, and then this is going to be the back. So that is basically going to fold like that, okay, because then your wee card's going to slip down in there. So what your next step is, you are going to have to measure in on this so that we can get that nice tapered edge on it, okay? And you're going to go in 3/4 of an inch each side. So I'm just bringing my ruler down and get a pencil. So 3/4 of an inch that way. Just do a wee line there, and then again 3/4 of an inch that way. And it's going to give us a nice smooth tapered edge, okay? So you can just, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but I've got two wee dots there. So next then you're going to get your trimmer, and you are going to put this little point here in the valley, and then the point where that you have made with your pencil, okay, and run that through, okay. And you'll see it gives you that nice clean sharp slanted edge. So again, this point here with your pencil point, okay, and run that through. Okay, and then this is your nice slanted edge. So if I just fold that over. Now, I don't normally use retired stuff for tutorials, but I do think the plant pot just needs something a bit more interesting. So this is an old punch. I don't know how many years ago it is. So I'm just going to run, if you have any kind of edging punch, I just think it adds something a little bit extra to it. So I'm going to just run that through. Okay, so I think it just adds something a little bit extra to it, because it just gives that nice kind of wee detailed edge on it. So you can see now, very cute. So again, we want the plant pot to be a wee bit more authentic looking, so I am going to stamp it with the crackle glaze stamp. Whenever I'm working with these, I find it easier to set these down and bring the card or the paper to it. So just move that out of the way. You might get your hands a bit inky, but sure, we can always wash them. I'm just going to run that over it. Okay, so you can see that. Okay, so then I need this edge here done. So it's crumb card cardstock, and it's crumb card ink that I'm doing here. Now it's up to you if you want to do all sides, just to be on the safe side so you're not getting yourself all mixed up. So, okay, so I'm going to do some on the back here, just to keep it, like, to be a continual pattern. Okay, so that is your, you can see I've missed a little bit in the center. Set it back down, and that'll just do it again. Okay. So as I say, that was crumb cake on crumb cake. So I'm just going to put a little dimensional under this, and it'll hold that in place and stop it keep on bouncing back up. Okay, so just one in the middle is enough. Okay, and then I'm going to get my mini dimensionals. I'm going to put one in each corner. Now you can use glue dots if you want, but I find that sometimes the glue dots over time they deteriorate a wee bit, and they end up just making the cardstock go a bit fluffy and kind of tear away from it. So that is your pouch for where your card's going to slide down into. Just make sure you give them a good press, and it's like about an eighth of an inch, just lower than the edge, so it means then it's not overhanging at the front there. Okay, next step is we're going to do our sunflower. Okay, now there is a knack to cutting these. I'm just going to bring the dies on to the screen here. There is a knack to cutting these. So these are your dies. So you can see you've got your outline of your sunflower, then you've got like all the outline of the petals. This is another smaller sunflower, this wee one. Then you've got your leaf veins, you've got your leaf, and then you've got these two nice wee stalks, and then you've got two wee miniature leaves, which are these ones. So that's handy because you can cut out two at a time. And then you've got your center of your sunflower. So obviously this pattern is quite distinct, and you really do, it's not symmetrical, so you really do need to find a way of lining the dies up to the stamped image. Now what I would do if I'm looking at it, and this is how I have managed to do it, is I kind of go around the outside of the sunflower and see something that's quite distinctive or sticks out. So obviously this here is quite distinctive, but that's no use to you because it's the edge of it you need. So for me, what really sticks out is there's two petals here that are kind of like leaning over to the left, or the right, sorry. So I need to go along my die and find the same two, and that's them there. So whenever I set them down over, then that is, you can just see how it marries up and pairs up with itself. So that is how I know. So I don't know, everyone maybe has their own way of doing things, but for me this is the most effective way. So I'm just going to cut this out now. Okay, so I have now cut out my sunflower and then the petals as well. So now we're going to have a look at this and marry the skeleton petals up with the sunflower itself. And I'm going to use wet glue to stick it down, or Tombow. So again, I'm going to look for those edges again. So I know that they're around this little cluster here. So here they are here. Okay. Now with this, it's a bit harder because obviously you don't have the center to kind of give you the guide, but I can see there is my little petals. So if I set that down there, then I can see that that all marries up. So a wee bit of wet glue around the center. You don't need loads because I want this outline to kind of sit up and have a bit of movement in it, so it's not completely flat. So I'm just lining them all up. Okay, and don't worry if the center's off because I'm going to cut out a center for it now. I'm just saying that I've forgot to punch out a little piece here. Okay. So that is that done. I'll just hold it up a wee bit closer so you can see it. Okay, and then because you're using your wet glue, you've always got that little bit of time to give it a wee wiggle into place. Okay, so I was doing this was one of my class projects, so I was obviously doing quite a lot of them. So whenever I was cutting out the center, because you obviously have to cut this section out again, what I did was I went with early Expresso, and I just punched out circles, because then it meant that I wasn't wasting a lot of my card on the actual petals, and it just meant that I had that circle was only part of the die that was being used. So the circle size I used that is just 1.5 inches dead. So if you go about 1 5/8 of a circle would do it, if it is something that you're going to be doing a lot of. Now what I would say is then you just have to go around your outside and cut off all these little bits, because they're obviously part the base of the petals. So you have to cut these all off, and it just gives you that nice circle and authentic looking center to your sunflower. So just keep going right the way around and cutting them off, but don't just leave like sharp edges, kind of like round them as you're cutting them, so that it just doesn't look like a straight edge that has literally just been hacked off. You want it to be as authentic looking as you can possibly get it. So just take your time with it. Okay, I'll just clear these out of the way. And then you will see that there is little dots and holes in it, so I'm going to poke those out as well. Okay, so punched out all my poked out all my wee holes as well. So whenever you're doing this one, you can use your center as a guide. And you just keep on turning it until you get that the right fit. You'll be able to see the holes in underneath as well, because they will marry up with it too. So I know that there is going to be the correct position for that. So again, a little bit of wet glue. And see, I know there's a wee knobbly bit here in there, and there's one here. So you can use that. Okay. And that is the center of your sunflower done. So one more wee thing is you have then this little textured center. So if I hold that up, you can see there's like the little holes that are pierced through it. Now that the die does that for you. So I'm going to use wee dimensional just to give it a bit of lift, nearly put it on back to front. Okay, so that is your sunflower complete. So the next thing we have to do is we have to do your little card. So again, a little bit of wet glue in this. And set it down. Okay, so your flower pot, I find this the easiest way of doing it. So just then you know what position your sunflower is going to be. So set that down in as far as it'll go. Make sure it's sitting completely flush to the bottom. And then I'm going to use my half dimensionals that run along the side. And I'm going to set them along that top edge. Just make sure they're stuck down well. And then you're going to set your sunflower down over the top of them. And it just means then that you know how far you have to come down. Because you want the sunflower to kind of be overhanging the flower pot a bit. Not just come off onto my nail, which is helpful. Another one. Okay, set that down. And then again, you can turn your sunflower to see what way you want it to be. So I'm going to leave mine at about there. Give it a good press down. And then your leaves. So I've already got mine pre-done for me. The Blue Peter moment. And there's the... Okay, so I'm going to put these together. So on the skeleton of the leaves, I just put a couple of small blobs of glue on an edge that is quite substantial in comparison to the rest of it, just so that you can get a good wee bit of glue onto it just to hold them in place. And then you just set them down, line them up and set them down. So again, just in those center parts of that, you can see where there's that wee area where you can add a bit of glue. Again, marry it up. Okay, so just let it sit a wee minute. Just hold that. Okay, now these have to go in underneath, but again you don't want them to be stuck down flat in case they're catching the edge of the pot. So I would recommend that you put a blob of glue on this side, nest it in underneath your sunflower and kind of get where you want it and just hold it in place for a second or two. So you can do the same with this. Up in underneath, get your position, and then just hold it a wee second. I'm just going to let that sit and dry for a wee second, and we will make our stand. So the stand is, I just use scraps for my stand, but the measurement is 6 inches by 1 3/4, and then you score at 1/2 inch, 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches and 5.5 inches. And the way we're going to fold it is we're going to bring your first score towards you, that one away, this one towards you, and that one away. So whenever it's sitting on its side, that's the shape you're going to get. Okay, now just for completion, you can stamp the back of the stand, and it just means then if it's ever sitting, you've still got that covering on it. So again, I'm just going to do a bit of crumb cake. We'll just set that down on that. It just means then the whole pattern is very continual up the back of it. Okay, set that up out of the way. So then I'm just going to take this away, and I'm going to, so if you set it down like this, okay, bit of glue here and a bit of glue here. So this is the back of, that's the front, that's the back. So get this one down first. So go to the edge and try and get it into the middle as well. Okay, like that. So that's not down yet. Okay, get it down, right down to the edge, and hold it a wee second. And then tuck that one in under like that. And that is your stand done. So I'll turn it on its side in a wee second so you can see. Okay, so that is what it looks like when it's on its side, and it will just stand independently. So now that is all dry as well, so that can slot down in the back. Now whenever you're putting it in, if you kind of like press that away from itself, it means then that the sunflower has that lip just to kind of nest over the top of the flower pot. So then you can then add a greeting, and there's a couple other wee things in the die set, which is these wee stalks. So this is the Label Me Fancy punch that I still absolutely love. And the greeting I'm going to use from the stamp set is Know That You're Loved. So I'm just going to get my early Expresso. It's a wee bit softer than black. So I'll ink that up. I'm just going to use my grid paper to make sure that I'm straight. And stamp straight down. Okay. So we will put this down flat, I think. A wee bit of glue on that. Make sure you're in the middle. Again, you've got your wiggle room because you've got wet glue. Okay, and then these I'm going to add just... these are just extra. You don't obviously have to add these if you don't want. It just kind of finishes it off. I think. So again, just hold them in place a wee second, and we can trim off the bottoms of those stalks in a wee second whenever it dries a bit better. So you can see I've left those loose at the top as well, just for a bit of movement. Again, a wee bit of glue around your leaves, and leaving the top again loose so that it just doesn't look that it's completely static. Okay, again, just hold these in place. Now you could add a wee bit of ribbon or something just running around the rim of the pot, but again, it's up to you if that's what you want to add. And then just trim those off. And that is it complete. I hope you like it. Obviously I've used sunflowers, but I'm just thinking when I'm working with it, you could actually do the Magenta Madness, and with a nice bright yellow center, it would look like a big giant gerbera. So whatever flower you decide to do, it would look completely different, and it is lovely because it does stand up on its own. As I say, I hope you liked the tutorial. I'll leave a list of the products that I've used, and remember the link to my online store is below all the comments if you ever want to just get in touch and maybe order some of the things, and you can maybe try and create your own. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you do like the tutorial and have a go at making it yourself. Bye for now.